Welcome to Scale Your Empire, the podcast that elevates your business game. Meet your guides to greatness. Your hosts, Darshan and Rejin.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Scale Your Empire. And we have an amazing guest for you today. And I'm so excited to have Peter Cox talking to us today. I have a quick note for Peter. Peter, there's so much to talk about you. I had to make notes, my friends. So I'm just going to go through it very quickly. So Peter and his wife, Debbie, established their own sales and marketing business, which has now expanded to 29 countries around the world with multiple eight-figure turnover business. In 2003, Peter started Leadership Dynamics to fulfill his mission to help young entrepreneurs and to build stronger leaders to build a better life. In 2005, Peter was brought in as an independent senior leadership advisor to the Manly Sea Eagles rugby team under Coach Des Hasler, and their partnership together contributed to the team winning the 2008 and 2011 NRL Premier League. That's pretty amazing. And Peter has also shared the stage with renowned speakers around the world, including the legendary John Maxwell. And Peter is also a TEDx speaker with over 75,000 views in one of his videos. Wow, that's incredible, Cox. I can keep going, but I had to stop because we want to get into the interview. But there's so many amazing things you've done. Today's talk is more about, we would like to talk a lot of things, but we just want to stick with mainly about scaling businesses and your experience in helping other people scale their businesses as well. And one of the main things we want to touch on initially is, look, you had your business for a while before you actually scaled it to 29 countries and all that kind of stuff. So what are the things which stopped you initially? You could have scaled the business, but, you didn't really take it to the next level. What was stopping you in the early stages?
Having doubt, fear about failure, the cost of scaling a business, being out of balance. I don't know anyone successful in business that's scaled to a large extent that hasn't had to deal with work-life balance issues, a young family. I had 2 young children traveling 9 months of the year for the first 6 years of their young life. And it took a lot to manage the home life, being away, only home in Australia 3 months of the year. Poor cash flow. When I say poor cash flow, we had cash flow, but we had to keep reinvesting money into the business when we went global. And at one stage, we got down to our last $1,000 in the bank, and I made one final trip to a small country in Europe called Slovenia. And I just had a gut feel that in relation to the business model I was developing, that it's always going to be about the people, right roles. There are 4 types of leaders. I really believed I had a natural leader in relation to what I was looking for in the marketplace. And I bought that last airline ticket, and the rest is history. That's when the scale really began for us, which was in 1996. Which was 8 years after starting our first business with $11 in the bank. And I'd never owned my own business before. I grew up in the western suburbs of Sydney in Campbelltown. I'd been expelled from 2 schools. My parents moved me from Campbelltown to Cronulla to try and get me away from the wrong pathway I was on in my life, and I'll be forever grateful for that. And I'm the only person that ever become an entrepreneur that ever owned their own business, and still today in my family's history over 200 plus years that I've tracked, that I'm the only business owner, because it takes a lot of courage to go into business for yourself, to burn those bridges, no looking back, and having cash flow issues, time issues, being away from home. It all looks great when the video changes to success. But at the very beginning, as you'd know, Rejin, it's very difficult to step out on faith, start a business, and then decide to really go for it and scale a business. Another big problem I had to overcome was duplicating the right process. You will not scale if you don't understand what duplication means. It is a vital component to scaling. Is if the business relies solely on you, you won't be able to scale. How do you duplicate? What processes do you implement so that the business starts to grow without you? And it will always be about the people. Those closest to the leader will determine that leader's success. Who you surround yourself with will determine whether you scale or not in the long run. It doesn't matter how good your business idea is, you will not get to the top of the mountain on your own.
Wow.
Amazing, Coach.
That was amazing. I just want to step back. You mentioned something which stuck in my head. You mentioned that you went all the way, bought that flight ticket for one person. So what does that mean? Like, how does that work?
I had faith. I believed in the vision that I had. I had people telling me it's time to go and get a real job, that the business, what you're trying to do globally won't work. You need to stay in Australia. You need to, you're traveling too much. You get all the negatives. You're going to get people, even people closest to you that love you, think they're giving you the best advice. But if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, a successful business owner, and that means scaling and growing something bigger and bigger from a small idea that started in a living room table for my wife and I, then you've got to stay the course and you've got to sell out. And that last airline ticket became the most important airline ticket I ever bought in my life.
That's an amazing story. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, a lot of those stories, Coach, you can relate to most of the stories so very well. Because anyone who's trying to grow a business, scale a business, goes through all those challenges. But good on you for having that faith and courage to push through. It's such an amazing role model. So while you are scaling, Kotsi, all right, we all do make mistakes, all right, sometimes even blunders. So what were some of the mistakes that you were able to make, and what did you learn from them?
A real key mistake that I made was not spending 80% of my time with 20% of the people. It's called the Pareto principle. You've only got so much time as an entrepreneur, where you spend your time. And when you scale a business, you're scaling it with people. The more people you have, the bigger that 20% becomes. So if I've got 10 people in my business, I need to spend 80% of my time with 2 of those people. If I've got 100, I need to spend 80% of my time with 20 of those people. When you've got, 50,000 sales agents like we had, there's 5,000 people that I had to really get to and multiply and duplicate through developing processes so that I could equip and keep growing leaders around me. And that was a big mistake I made at the beginning because I didn't delegate. I did everything myself. I didn't duplicate. And then I realized if I keep doing this, I've got a job. I didn't want a job. I wanted to scale a business. It all relied solely on me. Another mistake is, and it happens with a lot of young entrepreneurs that I work with within leadership dynamics, is that I became the magic. You don't want to become the magic in the business. If you become the magic, it means everybody wants you.
Yeah.
I suddenly realized that I needed to give the recognition away. I need to empower people around me. I needed to find and recruit people that were better than me, that were going to be rock stars and bigger than me to free me up so that I could be on the business and not in the business. That was a big mistake I made in the first 5 years of the business, that it was all about Coxie, 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 Coxie. No freedom comes with that. I suddenly realized that I didn't want to hear my name, that I didn't want anyone to know who I was. That's different thinking when you own a business if you want to scale it big. What are you doing to replace yourself? If your business solely relies on you, you won't be able to scale. Another lesson that I learned was don't assume people are going to do what they said they were going to do. Big mistake. And John Maxwell taught me what doesn't get inspected doesn't get respected. If you want to scale, you can't micromanage people, but you need to inspect people. And when you inspect people, when they least expect you to inspect them, that's when you'll find out whether they're doing what they said they were going to do. Surrounded myself with smarter people, and I also developed a leadership training program. I realized I needed to create leaders around me. I'm a leader, but I can't climb that mountain on my own. And I realized I needed to develop and equip and grow leaders around me that would help me scale the business. And that was a big mistake I made at the beginning. I didn't train and equip A-graders well enough in the beginning of the journey. I took it for granted that people want to upskill, they want to be grown, they want to be developed, they want to be educated on how to lead.
Amazing, Kasi. Those are some amazing lessons what you have shared with us, because there are so many entrepreneurs who can relate to it. they're getting their significance by being the main character, the main attraction and everything. Just to share a bit more, what transformed as soon as you learned from these lessons and implemented them? What changed in your business? What happened?
Well, the business went from Australia to 29 countries. Out of those 29 countries, there were 12 that I really invested time and money into. The business went from, like $1 million in revenue to, it must have been up over 70, $80 million in revenue. The business scaled, it grew.
I just want to touch on, sorry, I just want to touch on what you mentioned about spending 20%, 80% of your time with 20% of the people, right? So one of the challenges we find is, how do you know that that is the right person before you make that decision? Okay, I'm going to spend all my time with this person and train them up. And so how do you pick people to know that, okay, this is the guy or girl who I'm going to spend time with?
The power of personality profiling. I used to profile key people in my business, and I wanted to understand the strengths and weaknesses of the people I surrounded myself with. And there are 4 types of leaders. There are non-leaders, there are learned leaders, there are natural leaders, and there are born leaders. There's a particular personality profile that I equip all my leadership dynamics clients with that identifies emerging and natural leaders within an organizational chart. So I use that tool. It's from a book called Personality Plus, Florence Littau, and I used the personality profile test in that, and it saved me a lot of time and a lot of money, helping me identify who the natural leaders were in a large sales organization that I was leading globally, where I could make my time more effective, spending time with those people to lead and not manage.
Amazing. Just want to touch on the building culture, right? Obviously, you are an absolute legend at that. Even in your book, Your Business Doesn't Need You. That's an incredible book. I highly recommend everybody to get that book. So what is your thought? What do you think about when we say, there's too many people talk about culture and so many things put out there. What's in your mind when you say, okay, I'm going to build a team with a strong culture? What does that mean for you?
Well, firstly, you hear culture all the time, and yes. Culture is a word. Good leadership, good culture, bad leadership, bad culture. So when I go into a new business, a new organization, or an elite sporting team, it doesn't take me long to determine, is there a good culture or is there a bad culture? Is there good leadership or is there bad leadership? It'll take me half an hour to an hour to analyze the environment, and it won't take me long to get that feeling. Now, to develop a winning team culture, I have an upside down pyramid that I teach my clients in leadership dynamics about. And you spend 80% of your time working on the heart and spirit of people. If the heart and spirit of a human being doesn't trust the leader, it's going to negatively impact the culture, because they won't have mental toughness under pressure, which means they will have negative thoughts under pressure, and negative thoughts under pressure brings negative energy into that culture, into that environment. If you want to impact the heart and spirit of people in your business, you need to grow your one-on-one skills. And I've done 19,000 one-on-ones in my businesses over the last 30 plus years, 19,000. And they're not just a cup of coffee and a chat. There's a formal process, and I formalize that process to ensure that I now can inspect, not micromanage, what comes out of those one-on-one conversations I have with people. When you change the heart and spirit of a human being and they trust you, they then think positively under pressure, and they bring positive energy into that team or that work environment. And that's the beginning of developing a high-performance team culture. Now, if you want to grow a winning team culture, you need to empower people. You empower people with their strengths. Everybody hears about their weaknesses, but what are the strengths that you can identify with individuals in that team that they can grow and focus on in their personality, in their role, which will help add value to growing that business and adding value as a team member? The second thing that you need to do to grow a high-performance team culture is you need to grow what's called accountability. Accountability is deeper than accountability. Take the AC off and grow accountability. The greatest compliment you can receive in life is to be counted on. If you don't have people in your culture that you can count on, that won't drop the ball, it's going to negatively impact your culture. And the third thing that you need to learn about, which is a behavior, is to grow what's called edification. And edification means you can promote anyone but yourself. And edification is rocket fuel for culture. And if you want to listen to watch my TEDx talk, I did it. It's called Edification Changed My Life, and it's now at 92,000 views. And I did it a little over 2 years ago, and it was a game changer for my life, and it was a game changer for how to pour rocket fuel into a high-performance team culture and take it to the next level. The truth about leadership is you need to have discipline and focus on those behaviors that drive results. If you only focus on the results you want to achieve won't happen. So if whoever's listening to this podcast right now, you want to scale your business, you're wanting to learn, how do I scale my business? That's the result. You've got to strip it back and look at what behaviors are you implementing into your culture so that you do scale, that you do grow a high-performance culture. And when you empower people, it's a behavior. When you spend one-on-one time with people, it's a behavior. When you can count on people, it's a behavior. When you edify people, it's a behavior. There's 4 behaviors I've just shared with you that you need to implement and grow and learn about how to implement effectively to grow a high-performance team culture.
Brilliant. I just want to touch on the behavior for a second. Sorry, Dash. I just want to, one second, I want to ask you as well regarding culture as well. Every now and then you're building all this, you're doing one-on-ones, you're building heart and spirit and everything, but every now and then you find this one person or a couple of them who doesn't really want to fit in, right? They're trying to create challenges within the team, not really fit in, not really want to be part of the culture. They do their own thing, which is quite common. Any business can have that. So what do you do in that instance? What is your take on that? And yes, this person might be amazing technically, and is a valuable person, but not really part of the team.
I set clear expectations with them. I formalize those expectations of what I expect. If you want to grow engagement in a team, you will grow engagement by setting clear expectations. And Gallup poll latest study, about 50% of people don't know what's expected of them. Roles and responsibilities are different to expectations. What you do in your role and what your responsibilities are is not what expectations are. Expectations from the founder of the business are deeper than the role and responsibility about what you expect as the founder or owner of that business. When I set those expectations, if they don't give me what I expect, and I love your question, Rejin, I replace them. And in high-performance team sport, there can be no weak links or you lose big rugby league games. Australian women's football team, the Matildas, when I went in there in 2015, 016 World Cup and Olympic Games, Alan Stajic, the head coach, had to make some big changes when I came in 2015. They were ranked number 12 in the world, and now I think they're ranked number 6 or 7. Right. And the culture, for us to change the culture, we had to change some of the people.
Amazing, Coxie, because for me, the one thing that I can relate so much to what you shared is the heart and the spirit. Very, very few leaders focus on that. A lot of them are just focused on the systems, the process, the technical aspects of it. But as you mentioned on your triangle, the heart and spirit of the team comes at the core of it. That's so amazing. That's so true that you are able to share all these things with our viewers as well over here. Because you have had huge experience in running sales teams, all right, sales leadership and everything. So in your experience, what has worked very well in leading salespeople and really growing them and building them up?
Salespeople are cut from a different cloth.
Yeah.
They have different needs. They have different triggers that drive them. The effective salespeople I know want to make money.
Yes.
They have some of them have a bit of flash about them. They don't just want to earn a salary. They like the challenge of having, a base salary and commission. And, when I started my first business, it was commission only. And my wife, Debbie, used to knock doors and sell encyclopedias. in the 70s and 80s. Hardcore stuff, door knocking. But when you're a salesperson, it comes back to the dream. It comes back to I get clarity about what those salespeople dream about, what their goals are. I want to find those triggers. What drive them? What do they want? What are their needs? And I used to make it an amazing life experience for them. If they wanted to own a Porsche, I would like to own a Porsche. I'd take them to a Porsche dealer and I let them drive a Porsche so they could feel it. It was better than a Daihatsu. I put that feeling into them. And I did that in my own life. I had $11 in the bank when I started my first business, and Debbie and I dressed up like millionaires, and we went and looked at a $3 million house on the water at Cronulla. We drove our brown Honda Civic. You change the spark plugs every 2 hours, and we hit it around the corner. And I said to Debbie, one day we're going to live in a house like this. She said, you really believe that? I said, let's go and see how other people live. And we walked in that house, and I said, we're looking to buy a house. I got $5 million, and I bullshitted. And they let us into the house. And I remember walking through that house going, oh my gosh, this is different to our red brick unit. We're paying $70 a week rent. Salespeople are wired differently. They have different needs. Another important part of succeeding in sales is the language you use. And I got really good at using the right words and training our sales organization with the right words. Instead of using the word quote or estimate, use proposal. Instead of using the word package, use choices. Instead of using the deal, use the word opportunity. Instead of using the word contract, use the word agreement. Instead of using the word objection, use the word question. Instead of saying you are wrong, saying actually. Instead of saying it will cost you this much, I use the word investment. Your language is so important in sales. Instead of monthly payment, say monthly investment. Instead of saying customers, saying people we have been serving. Instead of saying appointment, say I'll be able to visit you. Instead of saying buy, say own. The power of words in the sales process is vital. Instead of saying sign up, say approve. Instead of saying cheaper, say more economical. Instead of saying sell or sold, say help you acquire. Instead of saying prospect, say potential future business partner. Instead of saying problems, say challenges. It's a very important part of the sales process is the words you use, both one-on-one with people and what you write in your documentation.
I just want to also quickly ask, okay, there's a lot of fear around hiring the right salesperson. Because, if you look at a salesperson, you're looking at, if you want to scale the business, you need a salesperson, at least one to begin with. But you're looking at maybe 60 to 80,000 salary plus commissions plus maybe a car. So you're looking around 100 to 120K bare minimum, any small business. So there's a lot of fear behind, is it going to work? Am I going to fail? So what is your suggestion to a business owner who's ready to scale, who's got the money to invest in a salesperson, but they're still holding back? I'm not sure how to lead this guy. So
are we talking about a salesperson that's making phone calls and setting up appointments? Or are we talking about someone that's on the road going in and seeing clients?
It could be both, but let's talk about the one seeing clients.
The one that goes and sees clients, yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, what have you got to lose if they're on a 3-month trial, for example?
Yeah.
Now it's not $60,000 to $80,000 over 12 months. There's always a probationary period. The most important thing is you need to set it up right, that you're setting them up to succeed and not fail, that your sales scripts are right, that you've got a quality product or service that they're offering, that you're generating, you're in the right target market. Maybe you're generating leads for that salesperson to go in and close. And if you want to get it right, if I was going to have with my sales team and my salespeople, they're either a choleric melancholy or a choleric sanguine personality. If they're going to go into people's businesses, they're a red blue or red-orange personality. That's what I'm looking for as a business development manager or someone that's going into someone's business to sell face-to-face. My sales appointer is a blue-red, melancholy, choleric, and she's in the Philippines, and she's done around 6,000 phone calls for me in the last 8-9 months, and she's developed $150,000 in business for me. But she was profiled. I know the personality profile I needed in that sales appointer role.
Amazing.
Because just talking about salespeople, I really love, we all love this topic because sales and salespeople play such a crucial role in scaling any businesses. If you don't have a strong sales team, it's very, very rare that the business can scale. Having said that, some business owners also face a situation where there are certain salespeople who are going through a slump, who are going through a rut. So currently, they're struggling in leading those salespeople. What are your thoughts? Do you have any experience shares that they can use to really, help these salespeople?
Great leaders cast vision. You need to cast your vision and make the sales team understand the importance of their role and what is required for them to achieve that vision. Without vision, people perish. An effective leader is consistently communicating the vision to ensure the sales team is aligned and delivering on what's required to achieve that vision. That's such an important part of salespeople becoming engaged in their role, because it's not easy to be a salesperson because they handle rejection. It takes a special person to take rejection day in, day out, but that's why salespeople make the big money too, because they get through the rejection. And I used to have this thought in my mind, another no next, I'm closer to a yes. Every no, I'm closer to a yes. It's all about attitude, how you think. We used to put our salespeople on training programs, podcasts. Today they're, mobile apps with audio, right? I grew up listening to tapes. It's such an important part for a salesperson to be plugged into positive thought process so they get through that rejection.
100% agree. Yeah. I just want to also quickly touch on, hiring the right people as well. Of course, you talked about personality profiling. That's pretty clear. That's really, you strongly suggest that. What else, other than the personality, what else do you look for? Maybe 2 or 3 attributes you look for at the time of hiring. Talking about salespeople, maybe we can continue with salespeople as well, actually.
At the time of hiring, if I'm going to hire a salesperson, and I'm looking at doing that for my online programs, I know the personality that I need. I want a choleric melancholy on the phone. But if they were going in to see someone face to face, I want a choleric sanguine or choleric melancholy. I'd have to work it out. But why am I sharing this with you? Because people don't understand the power of personality profiling. I ask people, have you done personality profiling? They go, yeah, I did it. Yeah, I did this one. I did that one. I said, so what did you do with it? Well, I didn't do anything with it. I just did it. It was a good few days. And what did you do with the profile? Nothing. It's a powerful tool to get right people in right roles. My marketing manager and my PA are blue purples. My sales appointer is a blue red. Okay, I'm a straight red. And if you're listening to this podcast, you're going, what's this guy talking about? By Personality Plus by Florence Liddell, do the profile test, and it'll make you millions of dollars if you use it as a tool. Right people in right roles, or you will not scale. And when I go into new businesses that contact with me, they say, we want you to come in, we want you to grow my leadership, we want you to grow leaders around us, we want you to help us with our culture. The first thing that I do is I profile the entire business. And that's what I'm doing this afternoon. I'm on a 4-hour Zoom, 4 to 8 p.m. with a South African client. This is their second session, and I'm profiling 15 people in that business in Johannesburg in the mining industry, because the blinkers have come off for this business owner after 8 years that he's got some people with the wrong personalities in the wrong roles, and that's why he can't scale and take that business to the next level, because it will always be about the people. It'll always be about the people. It'll never, ever change. If you don't get right people in right roles, you will not scale.
Wow, that's 100% agree.
Really mind-blowing, Kasi, because we have used personality profiling in our own businesses as well. And we can see that this is such a core tool that you can use in scaling businesses. And until and unless you don't really use it, like apply it in your business, it'll be so much more harder to scale. And since we're talking about the topic of recruiting, Kasi, we would like to really know, how do you attract A players? How do you attract high performers to come and work with your team? Well, what did you do to attract these kind of really high achievers?
Well, the first thing I did was I focused on myself to become an A grader. You attract what you are. And I had to make a lot of personal change in my life. When I started my first business, I had substance abuse, alcohol abuse. My marriage was on the rocks. I was nowhere near ready to recruit A graders. I had to first go through my own process and programs to reprogram me to become an A grader. And then through me sharing the transparency of my transformation, I attracted A graders. They trusted me because they knew where I came from. The number one characteristic of a leader is influence. Influence means follow me, seek influence over results. Transparency will grow your influence. I used the transparency of my story to attract A graders into my life as well. They trust me because they know where I came from. Grow your influence and you will attract A graders.
Wow. Kasi, these are some of the things that you're sharing here are just mind-blowing. Trust me, because very, very few people share this from their own experience. This is where I can see the biggest connection that we're going to have.
In relation to personality profiling, Darshan, and you've used my profiling system that I've used, has that helped grow your business?
Multiple times, especially as what Jim Collins talks about his book, right people in the right seats. That's exactly what personality profiling does. And more importantly for me, how personally it has helped me is to empathize with the team members as well. Like, the reason why they do what they do is because of their profiling. That's how they are. All right. If someone is melancholy, I understand that why they need more details, why they're more analytical. Okay, and if someone is more choleric, I understand that they're going towards the results. They don't much care about Google Sheets, all right, or the process. And for me, in that way, it has really helped me relate better to our team members as well.
And over the time when you implemented the profiling process, what happened to your business? What happened to your revenue? What happened to your scale? What happened?
It has grown like almost close to 300%. And in 2022, we were recognized as one of the 100 fastest growing companies in Australia. It's just been mind blowing. And more importantly, what I've seen is people are happy to come to work. Okay, yeah. They love being a part of a positive culture where everyone is growing, where everyone is progressing and achieving things together. That has been the biggest benefit and the impact.
And I think for whoever is listening to this podcast, it takes a lot of discipline with you as the founder or owner of the business to implement the process that you don't recruit anyone into the business until they've been profiled. There's no point recruiting them and then profiling them. It's too late. It's got to be done before you recruit them.
Well, Coxie, we can keep talking to you forever, but we just got a couple of more questions before we finish up. One of the things for me is you see so many entrepreneurs who's started the business, established it already, looking good, but they're holding back on really scaling it to the next level, right? What do you think normally stops people from really scaling it and having the business they want and the life they want?
Lack of hunger, not believing in themselves, not believing in their vision, not believing in their dream, not surrounding themselves with A graders that can help them achieve that, not becoming an A grader themselves, not wanting to personally change and grow and become a better leader and a better human being and a better husband and a better father and a better brother and a better son. Personal change is vital if you want to scale a business. You aren't good enough, the version of you right now. And I'm not good enough, the version I am right now, if I want to scale bigger.
100%. All right, last question from us. So if we had one last question before we finish up, and if you had to start over the whole thing again, we're going back 30 years now, Coxie, and start the whole thing again and had to do from scratch again, what would you do differently?
The number one thing that I would do, because the first basically the first 4 years of our business, we led ourselves. We had no mentors. We were trying to work it out as we went. We had the Peter and Debbie system, the Peter and Debbie process. I'd never owned a business. Debbie had never owned a business. I was 25 and Debbie was 29 when we started our first business. We knew nothing about business, culture, leadership, processes, profiling. We knew nothing. Vision. We knew nothing about anything. So if I had to start a new business today, knowing what I know now, I would connect with someone that I trusted that was more successful than me, that had been through the jungle and shown me how to get through the jungle and lead me and mentor me. And I would invest in that process, which is what I did for 22 years. And that was the game changer for me in May 1992 when Debbie asked me for a divorce at the Hilton Waikoloa, just spoken at a big leadership conference with John Maxwell, 2,500 people in that room. And I needed to be led because I was leading myself and I was leading myself the wrong way. And my business would never have scaled and gone global without being led by someone that had done a global business that I'd never done.
Awesome.
Amazing, Coxie. That's so true because we have seen the power of having mentors, how crucial it is, like so that they can see what exactly is happening in your business and they can give an unbiased approach towards. And it's been one of the biggest game changers for our own business success.
All right. So we just want to quickly thank you once again for your time. I know you live a different life now. You love your golfing, and I know you got a golf session this afternoon, so we're not going to hold you back. We just want to thank you, and we just really encourage, if you really want to get to know more about Coxie, the things Coxie has done, it's just amazing what you can learn from Peter Cox. So you got the Leadership Dynamics website, leadershipdynamics.com.au. Coxie is big on LinkedIn. So actually, even I found you on LinkedIn, if you remember. So you're big on LinkedIn. And I would highly recommend the book Coxie wrote, which is Your Business Don't Need You. That's replace yourself in 180 days from your business. That's an amazing book. I think it changed my business life once I read that. So on behalf of Darshan, I would really like to thank you for coming on, and I'm sure that our audience has got some amazing nuggets from that chat. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Rejin. And with the book, if they go to my website, it's a free ebook. They can download it on the website.
Awesome. We'll leave some links on the podcast and also the YouTube channel as well. So anybody wants to get in touch, they can just click the link and get in touch with you from there.
Okay. All right.
Thanks a lot, Coxie. Really appreciate it being here.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Scale Your Empire. Help spread the wisdom by liking and sharing this podcast. And we'd love to hear your views in the comments. Now, go out there, take action, and elevate your empire.